Hi guys, still here with a new video, and this video will be a patch rundown for Tempo 1.7, and we're also going to compare with Tempo 1.7 so people can understand why the frustration is arising for players and how it's really a unfortunate patch, but we'll have to talk about it as well. We're going to talk about PvE, what they are actually adding, but also PvP. So without further ado, let's talk. Dream Surge. Each week, one of the 4 original zones of the Dragon Isles will be affected by the Dream Surge. World quests will be focused on this zone, extra activities and weeklies will be active. Group rares will have new powers and a chance to drop upgraded gear. So it's a catch-up zone, okay? It's made to catch up. It's not made to get more gear. If you're already geared, it will not give you any more gear. A major walking dream portal will open as a group event every half hour. Defeating it, it will require a large group of players and has a chance to reward raid level gear. I assume raid finder gear, but it could be maybe normal raid gear. Minor waking dream portals can be found scattered across the zone and can be defeated by solo players or small groups. Players in the Dream Surge will gain access to a variety of buffs that ranges from useful to powerful to a chaotic, a bit like Azura zone where you can PvP and you can take like those buffs. I don't like that, but whatever. Will be the initial zone active for the PC, but it will be also probably the initial zone whenever it will launch. You also have Eastern Kingdoms Cup, so now you can also Dragon Ride there instead of in Kalimdor. Characters follow Velen's prophecy to reveal a new future for some of the Draenei people. Yes. Heritage armor is now available for Night Elf and Forsaken, like you had for human and orcs on Temple 0.7. 5 new skin colors available for Forsaken. I guess that's cool. And new face markings and body tattoos for Night Elf. Guess that's cool as well. Balance changes. So in Temple 0.7, you had like a full list of balance changes that were actually meta changing changes for PvE and PvP. And is it good or is it bad in middle of the season? Personally, I prefer to have changes towards talents and like mini reworks or reworks than just have a status quo on specs that are clearly in need of a rework. But for example, here druids, you get like a mini rework. It doesn't really change too much. You have like Master Shapeshifter, which was a PvP talent. Now it is competing with Circle of Life of Death. Most likely, you will not never take that anymore. There is no reason to take that anymore. Anyways, even for PvP, I think you're going to gimp yourself by going for that instead of let's say taking Circle of Life of Death, because it's also a just healing increase. Grove Guardians is the replacement of Nourish. So you're summoning Treants that are actually immediately casting Swiftmend. Treants will cast Nourish and also will do, I think, a Wild Growth if talented by Wild, which is not affected by Mastery. So effectively, it's not going to do so much healing. It's still going to be sweet to do that because it feels like a good talent, but they do decrease healing because of that. So you have all healing reduced by 6%, not applied in PvP, but in PvP you get a 4% nerf if I'm not mistaken. And Embrace of the Dream is now a 1 point talent, and its healing has been decreased by 20%. Anyways, Deep Focus has been removed, unfortunately. I think it could have been a separate talent, but whatever. And Forest Flow has been removed as well. We have monk changes as well. Those are a bit more complicated for me because I do not know about monks. But they are actually changing about Manatee. So Energizing Brew, Manatee now channels 50% and generates 20% more mana, and has been redesigned for every 25k mana you spend in 1 stack of Manatee, with a chance equal to your critical strike chance to generate 1 extra stack. Activate to consume 1 stack of Manatee per 0.5 seconds to restore 3000 mana at level 70. Reduces the mana cost of your spells by 50% for 1 second per stack of Manatee after drinking. Can be cast while moving, but the movement speed is reduced by 40% while channeling. Life cycles has been redesigned. Vivify has a 25% chance to cause your next Rising Sun Kick and Enveloping Mist generate 1 stack of Manatee. So your playstyle will be around Manatees and try to reduce your mana cost because of that. So I guess that's fun. I don't know. Mastery of Mist is now a baseline effect for Renewing Mist. Invigorating Mist has moved to Mastery of Mist's previous location. So you see, those are the things that I like. The location swaps and making more choices available towards specs. Hopefully it does this effect and for mistweaver. Unfortunately, I don't think there is too many effects about druid, but that's why Retribution Paladin was very fun, because you had like a full-on rework, but also frost mages had a mini rework, fire mages as well, arcane mages a bit less, but still a rework nonetheless. And those are like the fun things around your spec. So sometimes your spec becomes better because of that. There's a many specs that actually need a mini rework like this to make it more coherent. Spirit of the Crane has been removed. Locations of Mist of Life and the Nourish Calming Coalescence choice node have swapped. You also have Tower of Radiance has been redesigned. Now Flash of Light and Holy Light now generates one holy power at all times. I think that's quite big, to be honest. Angel's Mercy has been redesigned, now reduced the cooldown of this prayer by 20 seconds to be more consistent, I guess. You have some challenge courses. Well, those are the balancing changes. Okay, nothing to look at. Challenge courses now. Again, dragonflying. The drop of the down. The mega dungeons have been renamed to Visage of the Infinite. Now enclosed scales, hair color, blah blah blah. All useless things. Dungeons and raids. The mega dungeon has been split into two different dungeons on heroic difficulty: Galathron's Fall and Muruzon's Rise, probably to reduce the time spent in dungeons. Player can use Dungeon Finder or walk into the dungeon to access heroic difficulty. The original Mystic difficulty will continue to exist for players who prefer that challenge. Yeah, and then you have like the events, Hallow's End, like every single year you have that. Items, just holiday items, I guess. Players fulfill players. So again, I'm a PvP channel, and you see that there is just no balancing. It is what it is. Again, I would have liked them adding more PvP talents for like a lot of specs. For example, Frost Decay has like little no PvP talents. I think fire mages too, like it's very little. So yeah, whatever. We'll have to wait for 10.2 probably. Illidan's grasp has been redesigned to strangle the target with demonic mage, magic stunning them in place and dealing the shadow damage over 5 seconds. You can also move while channeling, and you can also toss a target to a location within 40 yards. I think it will be quite interesting for RBGs. I will have to see how it works, but it looks like a good PvP content to take. But again, the richer become richer. Vengeance Demonology is actually very strong in RBGs. While, for example, you have like other tanks that are really struggling in RBGs. But anyways, Druids. Restoration has been reduced by 4% to healing in PvP. So, like I said, they compensate the change, and they also removed the PvP talent option and didn't really replace it. So, whatever. I mean, if you guys think it's a good thing to remove something without replacing, whatever. It is what it is. For me, it's just less content. That's how I see. Ping system. That's something that already was implemented in multiple games over multiple genres, and now we have finally that on World of Warcraft. I think I'm excited to see how it works. I think it will be a bit toxic in PvP because it just is how it is. But I think if you can ignore players by silencing pings, it will be all right. Of course, use it not to be toxic, but to be informative. I think that can be also very nice for slow shuffle. But I think slow shuffle has other problems than just the communication behind the players. Real-time chat with moderation, good, I guess. Added a sell all junk button to vendors. That's actually very cool. Should have been implemented a long time ago. Addons actually did it. You can set that back to ignore the sell all junk button. Made the scroll bar more noticeable in the Dragon Isle summary window. Added an animation, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. So this is the patch rundown for 10.0.7. Do you think it is worthy to be called as a patch, like as a mid-season patch? Because you have now 10.1, you have 10.1.5, and you have now 10.1.7, which is normally going to be 6-8 weeks of that patch. Is this actually on par with what we have known just in Dragonflight? I know there were other versions of the game where you didn't even have that kind of patch, but I'm going to say that currently you kind of made a promise with how 10.0.7 is was shaped, and you are not delivering with tempo 1.7. I mean, am I asking too much to have a PvP interview or PvP changes middle of the season because it doesn't simply work for us? For example, the queue times are still very high. Are you satisfied about the queue times? What are your plans to change it? Because for sure you have some plans. If you don't, at least tell us that, look, we don't know how to fix it. We just need more healers, and people do not like to heal in our game. And it is what it is. I prefer them to say that to us instead of like doing the silence game, silent treatment, and saying, look, it is normal to wait that amount of time to just for a PvP activity that is actually not very long and also not very rewarding for most players. Um, Again, people are going to say, why are you negative? I am not negative. I'm just saying the truth. I think if you have 2 wins out of 6, you should be rewarded for conquest, so you don't feel like you are actually losing time, especially if you have like gigantic queues, or if you're a healer that you're also getting something out of a loss, because then you are encouraged to actually still keep on queuing. I know you get those 50 conquests extra in those boxes. It's not enough. You need to really incentivize players to play the game. Not a lot of players play just for the fun of the game. They are players that only play for fun. There are also players like me that never really quit a game, although the game is not that good right now, like system wise and how it's implemented, not the gameplay. I think the gameplay is fantastic from Dragonflight, and you never saw me complain about the gameplay. I'm also not complaining about making healing fun or making healing more balanced or whatever. I think that's a side problem. There were multiple expansions where healing was actually atrocious compared to Dragonflight, and you still had more players. It has nothing to do with the gameplay. It has to do with reward system, incentivizing, and trying to push more marketing towards the things that you want to market, and not like Dragonflying in Eastern Kingdoms Cup or Kalimdor Cup. Let's be honest, a lot of people are doing it. Is it though? I did do it once, and again I was like solo on the map, so I don't know. I feel like it's not that good. I think it's like a side activity. I think it's like really a mini game of a mini game. And if you dare say that PvP is a mini game of a mini game, then we will have a problem, Blizzard. But anyways, that's just my take. Let's now compare Tempo 0.7 because I promised to compare it. So you saw Tempo 1.7. Now let's see Tempo 0.7. It was 22 March. That's where actually the channel popped up for me, because there was a lot of activity. Everyone was happy. I think I was also super happy about Retribution, Paladin rework, and also about warriors. About every single class felt very good, but the soul shuffle queues were atrocious at that moment. So from March, April, May, June, that was the downfall of Dragonflight. For some reason, something changed. They changed multiple things throughout the patches, but now let's talk about it. Look at the content. Look at the content. So you have Return to the Forbidden Reach, again, an extra zone. The Monk class expands to new races, whatever, doesn't matter. Winterpelt Furbog faction, now you have an extra faction to work for. Bane Search, that is a campaign, like kind of story quest. You have Panction Envoys, whatever, that's all good. I don't care. It's all reputation. I'm not like the most fan of that. You have Orc and Human Rich Heritage, the same as what we have with Night Elves and Undead. We have Recruit a Friend rewards update, whatever. That's all like small things. Achievements, you get like more achievements that you no longer require Pathfinder to actually be able to fly BFA. That's a small change. But then you see like balancing changes. You have a lot of mini reworks that were actually needed and are still needed for a lot of specs. For example, rogue specs can just sit down for at least 2 months to be able to play the rework for rogues, probably in 10.2. If they are not putting it out in 10.2, then I don't know what they're doing in Blizzard. I think they're not playing Dragonflight, or they're not working on Dragonflight right now. But you see a lot of like talents has been removed from the talent tree and now learned, or you have like talents moving to another position. For example, Everfrost moving to Biting Score. You have again a lot of like mini reworks on like small things. And Holy Decay got like a mini rework as well, which is also very interesting. A lot of swaps. Were that they good? I don't think so. For example, Unholy Blight is very hard to take right now as Unholy Decay. Demon Hunters also like a few changes. Also, just in general, making the spec probably a bit better, or trying to make it better. At least they try to change a few things. Same here for druid. Now whenever you're dispelling stellar flare, you get a starburst, for example. So you have a aid towards dispel protection. You have feral druids also getting a few changes here and there. Garden druids a few changes. Restoration druids still getting a lot of changes because I think this spec is just a mess. In general, like look at this, a lot of changes, and they added deep focus and just like 6 months after they actually deleted it. So I don't know. Evoker, a lot of changes as well. Even there, Hunter, also a lot of changes. In general, you had a lot of changes for every single class and spec, and not only like balance changes, but also like swapped spots, changed, talent connections has been adjusted. Some things like that is actually good for the game, especially for specs that actually are in need. I'm looking at enhancement shaman that actually are very hard to make a coherent spec without sacrificing lots of it. I'm thinking about like, let's say Windwalker, which is actually playing like one build since the beginning of time, or I'm thinking about BM Hunter actually playing one build since 10.0. Same for MM actually, they kind of play the same build since 10.0. So you see, then you had the Paladin rework for Retribution Paladin. Success or not, I think it's a success. It was a bit overtuned, yes, but it is a good spec, very fun to play. You have Holy Priest, also some kind of rework with divine images and such. You have also Shaman, a lot of changes for Shaman, a lot of mini reworks for the class tree, and the spec tree, elemental shamans, enhancement shamans, just a bit. Restoration shamans, also a lot of new talents, a lot of talent swaps, very fun. And then you have warlocks, also a kind of a mini rework, trying to make the spec a bit better or class a bit better, like whenever you're making choices on the spec tree. Same for affliction warlock, demonology warlock, destruction a bit, just to change, for example. And then you have steel dragon riding. You see, all those changes are just superior to what we have right now, and it's only 6 months apart. And you cannot say that, look, it's a 10.1.7 patch, it is a bonus. No, Blizzard has actually shown us how it could be, and now you just have to keep the quality. And if you're not keeping the quality, then you have to say something about it. You have to say, look, 10.1.7 is a mini patch, we're working hard for 10.2. 10.2 will be a blast. We are going to do this, that, and we're going to deliver on this, that. Try to communicate with players so players can actually say, look, it's worth to wait a bit or be patient to have better content. Right now, you have Baldur's Gate, you have Hardcore Classic, ICC will come out very soon on RAF. I think people will come back to RAF, although they are bots, although they are cheaters in PvP, although I think there are also cheaters on retail anyways with rotational bots and such. So again, I think World of Warcraft needs like cheaters, like an anti-cheat system somehow, some way. For now, I didn't see anything about it, but whatever. It would be cool that they actually work on things that are actually important for the player base and not only like dragonflying things. I think dragonflying is like seen as, for me, as pet battles. If you're adding pet battle content, you have to also add other content about PvP and also PvE. I'm not saying that PvE is perfect right now, but I'm saying PvP right now is in a dire situation where we do need communication from anything. We are grasping our PCs and watching Wowhead with the hope of having a PvP interview. And people that are not agreeing with me that for some reason you guys think that there is no need for PvP interview, you're out of your mind and you're probably just loving the game a bit too much. And Stockholm syndrome is actually very hard with you guys. Just accept the fact that we are in dire need, that we need some changes, and the Blizzard and the devs or whatever guy behind the scenes needs to activate their brain cells and to actually communicate with players, so we can actually have more players, more new players, but also more veteran players coming back to the game, because right now everyone is leaving for hardcore classic, guys, which has no PvP or very little PvP. So please do understand, PvPers just want to PvP. PvPers want to be enabled to PvP. Give us that. Thank you. Have a great day and be sure to stay safe. We'll catch you all probably very soon for the next video. Have a great day. Bye.